Hey guys, welcome back to Crypto. Hope you are all having a fantastic day. Today is a little bit of a sad video, guys, because Flickto announced only a couple of days ago that they are going into what they have called hibernation, and essentially that the project is no longer liquid, they don't have money, and they're going to take a break. I've been very quiet on this project. The last time I made a video about them was actually at the end of March, because as an ambassador, I was aware of some of the issues that were going on, but I truly believed in this project and I really wanted to give the team a chance to fix it. And that is why up until today, I have chosen not to comment on what has been going on with the project. But enough is enough, guys. And even now, the full truth is not being told. So I'm going to share my perspective. Now, bearing in mind, guys, I am in Australia. I'm on the other side of the world. I am not there day to day. I can only share things that I have witnessed and I can verify. And obviously the team may have a different perspective, but this is my experience as an ambassador. Now, it's going to be a semi-long video and I hope you stick along because there is a lot of important detail in this. But if you have been here since the beginning, so to break it down, guys, I was contacted back in November 2021 by Rob Knight, who was the managing director, CEO, whatever you want to call him, of Flickto. And I was told about the concept. I was told about what these guys were doing. And to be 100% honest, I was sold. I love the concept of it. I love the idea of it. And I thought it was unique. And it was on Cardano. So I was a big fan. So I made my first video about Flick back in December 2021, when these guys didn't even have 100 delegators, let alone hundreds of thousands of ADA. Now, it goes without saying, guys, that I really do not like to align myself with projects that I don't truly believe in. I get emails literally daily of projects trying to collab, offering me money to talk about them, and I really don't say yes to many. Now, when I first started working with Flick, it was just a video-to-video basis. And like I said, I really liked the project. I wasn't charging them a lot because, like I said, I really did like it. I staked my ADA to the pool because I believed in the project and decentralized media. Now, a couple of months later, I was made an ambassador when they started the ambassador program. It seemed fitting considering I was one of the first people on YouTube to talk about them. And everything was fine, guys. We had an ambassador chat. We got to talk to the team, the marketing team. Everything was fine and seemingly everything was okay. Now, we, of course, were not made privy to any major issues or any internal conflicts until about April 2022. Now, this is where things started to get very strange and there seemed to be a lot of conflict. Now, a couple of months prior to this, we were told by Rob that Theo had been removed as CEO. They did not go into great detail, just like they didn't with the community, but they just told us he was removed because he was toxic to the project. And to be honest, I didn't have a lot to do with Theo. I cannot comment on what he is like at all. Although he was in and out of the ambassador chat, we mostly spoke to Rob, Sid, and a couple of other members of the team. It is also very important to note, guys, that at this point, I'm not going to lie, I did not do any in-depth research into any of the core team. And it really goes without saying that this is not just the Flickto team. This is some of the guys that were working on it recently, but there was other people involved that have been mentioned in various posts. I did not go out of my way to research them. Yes, I looked them up on LinkedIn. I made sure they were legit people, but I didn't Google them. I didn't do any in-depth background searches. And, I guess that is completely my fault. And I've definitely learnt a valuable lesson now to always search on Google to see if there's anything I can find. Now, in April 2022, things started seeming a little bit off. Sobanan was fired. And we were not told why exactly, besides that he had made some allegations towards Rob, and they were, in Rob's words, completely false, and that he was fired because of this. Now, I'm not going to go into these allegations or what we were told, because that is up to Sobanan and Rob to speak about or not to speak about, but they were, I believe that Sobanan reported Rob to the police, etc., etc. There was a whole situation going on there. Now, this triggered a series of events over the coming days in April that turned into what I can only describe as probably some of the most stressful couple of days of my life. Now, I'm going to put up what Sobernon posted on Thursday, 19th of May. Now, this was the post essentially saying that they were going into hibernation. Now, essentially back in April, when we were told about Sobernon being fired, it also came to light that a lot of the marketing team, or most of the other team, had walked out when Sobernon was fired. Now, obviously, we could not verify this word for word, but there was definitely some serious conflict happening at the Flickto office. We, as ambassadors, obviously expressed our concerns. We essentially started becoming mediators between Sobernon and the rest of the team and Rob, Sid, and the management side, because we couldn't believe what was happening. You know, the ISP was doing really well. The platform was almost ready to launch. Like, things were going really, really great. So we were absolutely shocked when Sobernon and Burkai and all these other people started telling us that Sid was a con man. He had been convicted of conning people out of hundreds of thousands of pounds. They told us that Cam, who was a CTO or whatever he was a career-long criminal, and that he had been convicted for various crimes, and not petty crimes either. They obviously had made accusations towards Rob of things that shall not be spoken of. They told us that they themselves had been previously convicted. Now, it's important to note, guys, that this team, Sobernon, Pratik, and all them, what they were convicted on is very minor. And they were honest to the community about it, but definitely not honest to the ambassadors. So we, as ambassadors, at no point, whilst being ambassadors for Flickto and helping them and being in the community, did we know that any of them had criminal records. Now, on a personal note, guys, I do truly believe that people can change and everybody makes mistakes. But in hindsight, had I known that any of these people had been convicted, especially the things that Sid and Cam have been convicted of, I would have never, under a million years, become an ambassador for this project. That is my personal opinion. I do not speak for everybody else. I feel like I was lied to. I feel like it would have been very important information to know as someone who, you know, as ambassadors, yes, we're not part of the literal team, but we are out in the community. We are talking about you. We are telling people, hey guys, this ISPO is great. This project's great. And I feel like it would have been very important for us to know who we were dealing with and then make our own decision. So personally, I feel like I was lied to from the beginning by Rob, by Sid, by Cam. I should have made up my own mind of whether I wanted to work with these sorts of people. And like I said, I would have chose not to. Now, following the accusations made by Sobernon after he had been fired towards Rob, we mediated what felt like a hostile takeover by Sobernon, Burkai, Pratik, and a couple of the other members. And what I'm calling a hostile takeover is these guys believed that Cam, Rob, Sid, and the rest of them were not fit to manage Flickto. That is something we can all agree on. The solution, the best solution at the time, was for Sobernon and Co. to take over. And that is what happened. We mediated this, and I have to give a shout out more so to the other ambassadors because of the time difference. I wasn't able to help as much as I would have, as much as I normally could have, but I was there, I was involved. I put everything on blast. I said, you know, guys, I'm not lying to the community. We need to do something, and we need to do something now if we are going to fix this project. Now, in the meantime, Rob had resigned because of the accusations. Cam had been made acting CEO, and a whole bunch of other stuff went down in a span of 3 or 4 days. There was so much happening on a daily basis that I was literally losing track. I was waking up to 300-400 messages in various Telegram chats, and it was really hard for me to keep up. And bearing in mind, guys, I was newly pregnant at this point, and a highly stressful situation like this is not good for my health, especially being pregnant. So I was very cautious of not allowing this to stress me out too much, but my biggest concern was the community. I was an investor in Flickto. I know a lot of the community were, the ambassadors were. I would have been happy to do anything to help this project out. So in the coming days, the guys took over. Cam quit as CEO, you know, literally within a couple of days of becoming CEO, he quit or he got fired or whatever the truth may be. And these guys took over. Now, in the meantime, while this was happening, I was watching Rob's wallet because we knew the ADA handle for his wallet. And as ambassadors, we were watching the wallet because we had no idea what was going on. We didn't know who to believe. We didn't know who else was a criminal. We really did not know what was going on, truly. So we were watching his wallet and we noticed a massive withdrawal for 200 million Flick tokens. Now, I questioned Rob straight away. I'm a very upfront and blunt person. I don't like bullshit, guys. I'm sorry to swear. And I questioned him. I said, Rob, where's this 200 million Flick gone? You know, are you rug pulling? What in the world is going on? Now, Rob said to me in the Telegram chat with multiple people in it that those were tokens that were owed to Theo and he transferred them to him himself. At no point was there any mention of a threat. At no point was there any mention of anything going on. Now, it's important to note, guys, and this is why I'm very frustrated, that in these, in these announcements, in these blogs, in these statements made by Rob, by Sobernon, by Berkay, they are making Theo, Rob, and Sid out to be the bad guys. And I'm not saying they're not the bad guys. But what I'm saying is there is versions of these documents that there's half-truths in some of what's been written. Now, they keep saying that these were illegally attained by Theo. Like I said, Rob told us he transferred Theo the tokens. So I'm not really sure what's illegal about that. I don't see anything illegal going on. I see that Rob made a decision to send these tokens to Theo. He told us it was because he was owed the tokens, and there was really nothing sketchy about it. Well, that is until Theo decided to completely crash the market and sell his Flick, because there was no vesting agreement with Theo or any of the other team on when they could or couldn't sell their tokens, or when they could or couldn't get their tokens. So there was a lot of incompetence and poor decisions made throughout this project. But that is one of the key things that I want to say in terms of illegal. There was nothing illegal about the way, in my opinion, as far as I'm aware, of the way Theo obtained his tokens. Again, guys, I don't know this guy. I don't know what his intentions are. Obviously, he crashed the price because he started selling. And at the end of the day, he had a right to. There was nothing saying he couldn't sell. So let's just get that clear straight off the bat. So guys, there's a couple of things that I really have a problem with, okay? And what I have a problem with is half-truths. I have a problem with not, full versions of stories being told. Now, there was a lot of things that went wrong with Flickto, and if you want to move on and give, the community some truth, then do that. But they were not handed the company. In my opinion, they performed what I saw as pretty much a hostile takeover. They took advantage of what was happening with Rob and Sobernon. They took advantage of, having, knowing that Sid was a con man. They took advantage of Cam, being in some trouble, having some drug issues, whatever, and they wanted the company. Now, I'm not saying these guys didn't have good intentions. I'm not saying these guys didn't want to save the project, but they were not handed the company. So let's just make that very clear. Now, also in terms of this 200 million Flick illegal transfer, I was on the phone to Berkay on Telegram when I told him that Rob said he sent the 200 mil Flick to Theo. Someone behind him got on the phone, rang Theo and said, hey, is it true you just got transferred 200 million Flick? And Theo said, yeah, Rob sent it to me because it was part of an agreement. So for them to come out now and say illegal this and illegal that and we didn't know, that is completely untrue. They were well aware because as soon as I found out, I told them. Now again, Theo crashed the price. He started selling and it completely tanked the price of Flick. And again, I do not know Theo, I do not know his intentions. But this statement, in terms of the illegal transfer, is untrue. And these guys were well aware of that. Also, something else that I want to clear up, which is another problem that I had with Berkay's blog in terms of the timeline of when they found out of Sid being a con man. Now, let's make one thing abundantly clear. Rob knew all along about Sid's criminal past, and he made him a contractor specifically for that reason. He did not want him as part of the company legally. Well, it wasn't illegal. He was a legal contractor, but my point is he didn't want him to be an official part of the company because he knew his past. Now, Berkay and Sobernon found out, and some of the other guys found out later on, but it wasn't as late as they're making it believe in their blogs. In fact, shortly after Sobernon had been fired, they were the ones that told us about Cam's criminal past. They're the ones that told us about Sid's criminal past. So to make it sound like they didn't find out until significantly later is also extremely, extremely untrue. So those are some of the key things, guys, that I wanted to highlight. I had no idea what was going on until April, when this whole ownership was transferred. Now, after the ownership was transferred, it was all, apparently all rainbows and pixies, and Sobernon and Rob made up, and Sobernon dropped the charges against Rob, and Rob came back to the projects, and everything was, everything was fine. We did not find out about the financial troubles until literally a couple of weeks ago, when we started questioning what was going on. When we started questioning why aren't things happening? Why are you guys all now suddenly working from home? Why this? Why that? Why are you pulling, what's happening? So they finally told us that they were essentially broke, that they didn't have money, that they had a serious spending problem with staff, with equipment, with everything. And they had essentially been grossly overpromising what they could actually do with this project, the things that they could fund. All the stuff that was on the platform that they were saying they could fund, they couldn't fund any of it, besides maybe some of the indie stuff. And even that was looking less and less like a real probability. Now, I'm going to show you guys a great Twitter thread by Smart Contract Audit Token. And it goes into, how can this actually happen? Like, we knew that they had made hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of ADA through the ISPO, through the pre-sale. So there was money, but where did this money go? Now, I still cannot answer that question. I still cannot tell you guys where the money truly went. We are still yet to see statements. We are still yet to see what really happened. But we were made aware a couple of weeks before it was publicly announced. They said they were still trying to cost cut. They still said they had hope of saving the project. And we were still trying. We were still trying. We were still willing to help them because we truly believed in this project. And I still truly believe that Burkai and Pratik and Sobernon, I think they do truly have good intentions, and I think they do care about the project, but I think it is so far gone now, and I think that they are telling partial truths to try and save face and, hopefully convince people to invest with them in their future endeavors. But my biggest issue in all of this is that at no point was it ever truly considered to be honest with the community. At no point did they think of another way to fix the problem with Theo. We gave them suggestions, a token migration. We told them to be transparent, and it didn't happen. They wanted to save face. They didn't want to tell people what was going on. They didn't want people to know. And to me, that is not the sign of good leaders. To me, you have to always lead with pure intentions, and everything will work itself out. Crypto is very unforgiving. And if you are not honest about what is going on, then this is the result. And that is my experience, guys. It was a really awful time during what I call the hostile takeover. It was incredibly disappointing and unbelievable to find out that the people behind the project, I don't think personally that this was a rug pull. I don't have enough to say that. I don't think that it's impossible that it may, at one point or another, had potentially been a rug pull from the original team. But I don't think that the current team have the intentions or had the intentions of rug pulling. Because let me tell you guys, if you rug pull, you leave with money. And these guys are not leaving with money. They haven't paid their employees. They're chasing current employees for money. They're chasing employees for money that was given for projects. There is a reason why only some of the employees are issuing statements. There is a reason why only some people are speaking out and others are not. And I think as people hopefully get paid, or as people get some sort of compensation for their part in the project, I think the truth will come out. And I truly hope that we do get financial records and statements. But personally, as far as this project, I would never under any circumstances give my money to these guys again. I personally feel very lied to. It was a very stressful couple of months for me. I did feel like I was lying to the community for a long time. And now, I've told my truth. And my truth is that there was never any truth. And this is the problem that I have. There was no transparency to us, the ambassadors. There was no transparency to the community, and there still isn't. There is to an extent, but it's selective, and you can't selectively tell the truth. Now, Rob released this only, today, and it's very extensive, and it goes essentially into him blaming himself for everything. And again, guys, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not saying it was one person's fault, another person's fault. I think this project was grossly mismanaged. I think this project didn't have any real understanding of how to be profitable. I think this project had too many friends working for them, too many people working for them. They relied on the most volatile asset in the world to stay above a certain price, and they just had no real plan of how to be profitable. They had no real, finance guy. They had no person managing their finance. They were just spending like money was never going to run out. So I think this project was not a rug pull. I think this project was grossly mismanaged. I think this project was run and managed by the wrong people. I think the team, just didn't have enough knowledge or understanding of what was going on. And I don't think this project is salvageable in any way, shape, or form. And like I said, my personal opinion is that I will never, invest money into a project with any of these guys ever again. And I feel very sorry for all the people that have lost money, myself included. I apologize for playing any part in you being a part of this project. I apologize for talking about them, but I genuinely had no idea about what was going on. And the lesson I will take from this is to always Google everybody that you're going to be involved with, to always do, the better research, even more research, and to always tread carefully. And I understand that startups fail. Some startups do well, some startups do not. But this had serious potential, and it's a real shame how things turned out. I'm really sorry for the long video, guys. I do hope that, it gives you some insight into what happened. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment, guys, or DM me on Twitter. I'm always here. I'm always an open book. I do talk about plenty of other Cardano and crypto projects on my channel. I do appreciate the love. If you want to hit that subscribe button, and as always, guys, watch this space.